Yo, we talked about Derek, and you just brought up Lamar. Obviously, they're teammates. You know what I mean? Okay, so look, I'm not in my rhythm today. All right, let me get in my rhythm. Pause. Yo, the last I want to say half a decade, right? There've been teams and quarterbacks who are basically just like gimmies, right, to be in the NFL playoffs. They're just mainstays. Guys like we all know the names, right? Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. I think you got to put Matthew Stafford in that. Jalen Hurts with his non-passing ass. You know what I'm saying? Which I fuck with though.
I can't stand Jalen Hurts.
Not that I can't. He's the only reason I don't fucking him because the Eagle. But we'll talk about that for another day. Other than that, he's a winner. He's like the Derek Jeter of football and shit. Not quite to that level, but anyway. And like I said, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, guys like that, and uh, and Lamar Jackson. You know what I mean? To be quite honest, these guys you look at, they're in the play. They're in the playoffs every year, whether it be AFC or NFC. Lamar might, to me, Lamar. To me personally, everyone knows I'm a Lamar guy. I'm gonna say some shit in this segment that people are gonna say I'm hating on him, but I'm just talking facts. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Lamar. I fuck with Lamar Jackson. That's my adopted team when the Giants, because seem to be always out of it the last fucking decade. I usually roll with the Ravens. You know what I'm saying? I lived down in that area for a while. I fuck with Lamar. You know what I'm saying? Um, like I said, to me, he's the most talented, like just talent. We talked about the eye test a little while ago. Maybe the most talented quarterback I've ever seen, man. Maybe he's not the most accomplished, although he is very accomplished personally. But in terms of like winning a Super Bowl yet, maybe not the most accomplished, but
Oh, but
talent
he's winning
wise,
some playoff games. But keep going.
right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, talent wise, to me, he's the best I've ever seen. I really fuck with him because he's overcome so much adversity. When he started his career, you remember when he started his career, they were all suggesting, oh, they tried to matter of fact, they tried to convert him to a fucking wide receiver.
Wide out, yeah.
You could never pass in the pocket like some old school racist quarterback shit. You know what I'm saying? He was 30, like 32nd. I think he was 32nd in the league, and 32nd in the draft. Low draft pick, first round. I think he was behind Joe Flacco when he first came. And they were saying, oh, he can only run, and he proved he could get down in the pocket because he's actually become a pocket passer right now. You know what I'm saying? And he can run, and he's actually a really good pocket passer if you ask me. So that you got to give him a lot of credit for that. You know what I'm saying? That shows you he's not just a runner. He's not just a dumb athlete. Shut up and go back to practice. He's got some sharps, right? Um, like with that being said, dynamic athlete, a defensive coordinator's fucking nightmare. You know what I'm saying? I seen him slice up some of the best defensive DCs and coaches, some of the best defensive minds in football history. He used to give Bill Belichick fits. You know what I'm saying? Guys like Spagnolo, guys we hold to like the super high standard. Guys like, Brian Flores, this new guy Shula, guys like, Matt Burke,
Yeah.
the Texans DC. You know what I'm saying? And listen, has he came up big in the postseason? No, he hasn't.
No.
You know what I'm saying? But that's not entirely his fault. It's partly his fault. I'm not going to absolve him of sins. You know what I'm saying? But the lack of postseason success, you could attribute it a little bit to him. You could attribute it a little bit to poor team play. Last year, he drove down the field in that comeback drive against the Bills. I I was like, wow, this is his moment. This is his a
That's
superstar
it.
is gonna be born right now. And what happens? Mark Andrews drops that fucking game time to past 2 point conversion in the final minute
Fucking that
of the
hurt.
divisional round
That
playoff
hurt
game.
me.
That hurt, man. And I know that hurt Mark Andrews, and that really that could have I don't want to say solidified, but that was to me a star was about to be born, and somehow they snatched that from him, right? But anyway, but there's been a drop off to say the least from regular season, and there's a little bit of a drop off in performance for postseason, right? I'm gonna tie this up in a second. Um, like I said, you can't blame it all on Lamar, but you can't blame it all on the team. They've had some dominant defenses, and the offense couldn't finish the job. Whatever the case may be, he hasn't had the playoff success. With that being said, this week there's an article that came out. by Mike Preston in the Baltimore Sun-Times. Excuse me. Now, before we dig all the way in, I just want to say, Mike Preston, from what I've seen and did my research on him, he's not no fly-by-night bullshit as journalist. You know what I'm saying? He's been at this paper a long time. He's reputable. He's well respected in the world of journalism, and obviously, the Baltimore Sun-Times is a reputable mainstay in the Baltimore community. You know what I'm saying? It's the L.A. Times. It's the the New York Times, the Daily, that type of shit. The article basically, the title of the article was Ravens and Lamar Jackson are at a crossroad. Can the two-time NFL most valuable player ever get over the hump in Baltimore? Right? Something we just talked about, right? Didn't seem, kind of what everyone's asking, right? But then when you actually read the fucking article, it gets a little grimy, for lack of a better term. In the article, basically, he talks about that him and Harbaugh, which I wasn't really privy to and abreast, that him and Harbaugh, Lamar and Harbaugh, have not been on the same page for a long time. He said Harbaugh is sick of Lamar. Even every time I hear Harbaugh in the press conferences, post presses, and all that shit, he's always giving Lamar praise, at least publicly, right? He lists things like maybe Lamar doesn't take the best care of himself physically. He says things like this. This was kind of weird. He says things like he stays up all night playing video games. He's doing some Abdul Carter shit, right? Falling asleep in team meetings and shit. You know what I'm saying? He's getting special, and he basically said, the special treatment for Lamar. And they move practice. The whole team and the coaching staff likes to practice in the morning, but Lamar, him being Lamar Jackson. Now we all know superstars get special treatment. That's just the way it is. You cry about it all the fuck you want. That's just what it is. But they move practices to the afternoon to accommodate Lamar, I guess, from staying up all night playing video games. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But so you're hearing that stuff, and they kind of insinuate that the reason why the Ravens haven't won a championship is partly because Lamar doesn't seem like he has the work ethic, the drive. They all also allude to the fact that he gets injured a lot, and maybe that his attrition could be due to him, not taking care of himself.
Playing video games.
Saying I'm playing that video games. They're saying, eating fast food, not treating himself right. The antithesis of what LeBron was, because LeBron is like, I spent $1 million, I ate right, and to be honest with you, attrition is kind of hitting him now, but he's eluded it for most of his career. And he's 3 fucking years of some crazy shit? You know what I'm saying? So you got to give him credit. Same thing with Tom Brady. But that's a long-winded way of saying, what do let me also say this. They mentioned in this article that they're also in contract negotiations. So whoever leaked that to the press at the time could have an agenda. You know what I mean? It could be, when there's contract negotiations, it's all fair and love of war. Business is crazy. So it could be leaked to the press. They're trying to, maybe
lower his value.
Some saying that they kind of want to move off of him. I heard Brandon Tini talking today that it's a possibility. Always a possibility he can go to the every quarterback, every superstar quarterback that runs into a little bit of shit, they say bring him to the Jets. Right?
Don't bring him to the Jets.
You know what I mean? But let me ask you this: do you guys, for one, what do you guys think of the article? Do you think there's any merit to that? Do you think it's a smear campaign? And two, do you think Lamar's falling off, and do you blame him for the lack of postseason success that the Ravens were having? Q, you rock first because we went to Jay earlier first.
I think it's not completely a load of bullshit, but it's I think it's smothering in it. You know what I mean? Like
smells a little bit.
It smells
like a fart.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, with every, with all these type of articles and that shit, there's always some truth in it. You're not telling me he's not playing video games? Everybody plays video games, man. It's 2025, bro. You played video games. I'm not.
I wonder if he uses himself.
You know what I mean? Like,
and Matt, you think he's playing with Lamar? I play with myself. Go ahead.
I would.
I digress.
I bet you do.
That's I gotta let it. Yo, I started off bad today, man. Jesus Christ, man. What the fuck happened to me?
You know what I'm saying? Whoa. No, I'm telling you. Pause. Yo.
Damn, I'm out of pocket today.
Pause. Yo, come on.
I'm disrespecting.
Pause. Everything was going smooth.
Everything was going smooth.
Jesus.
But
all right, my fault.
But nah, I definitely think there's a little bit of truth in it. I think what that truth is the frustration. I think that he's probably just unhappy there. Look, the Ravens are ranked 25th in defense, man. That's not what they're known for. Like they're like
true.
They just started becoming that offensive team that nobody can stop, and now they're becoming the team that can't stop offense. Like nobody's really scared of the Ravens, man. Like to be honest, right now, man. Like they're just, and unfortunately, it just happened to happen on a season where he happened to get injured. So what about all the other seasons where he was? So if his nutrition was that bad, and if you still with that childish mentality, that shit don't just kick in that you want to play video games in your 8th season on an NFL football team.
Yeah.
He would have been doing that all those other seasons. Last season when he threw 41 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, ran for 1,000 yards. You know what I mean? Like was he? No, man. Like I say, like yeah. So what? And maybe he was falling asleep, but who?
Wait.
Like who?
Can I say one thing? Can I? And I don't mean to cut you off. Do you think? Right. I said the same thing. 8 seasons. We never heard this shit before. Through all the unanimous MVPs and all pros and the fucking all the accolades he got. Right? Could it be he was on some Roy Jones shit, Zion Williams shit, just going on raw talent and instinct, and you know what I'm saying? Because gifted athletes, sometimes they don't kind of read the playbook. I don't mean specifically. You know what I mean? Roy Jones is one of the most gifted fucking boxers. Maybe he lacked a little bit of fundamentals, but he was so athletically gifted that when he started to like fall off a little bit, so to speak, right? You kind of got to rely on, your work ethic, the way you eat, the way you work out, and in your fundamentals. Do you think that Lamar could have just been living off of just raw talent? Just a thought. No, I don't think so. Just a thought.
No, and the only reason I don't think so is because I think he would have fell off a little bit harder. He would have made a really wrong decision when running the ball this season. Right. And he had a decent season. He missed like 4 or 5 games or whatever it may be. But when you really that down in and you just not paying attention to anything and. All right, so then that's what you've been doing. That like I said, like that just doesn't happen overnight. Like there's more to the story that nobody want to say because it's probably gonna make the whole organization look bad, and it's gonna make the coach look bad because that's John Harbaugh. Like he's been the most successful Ravens coach probably in the history of their organization. Can't have him looking like shit, but. When you have the talent that he has, I don't think that he was coming into the game like you know what I mean? Like, oh, I just want to sleep during this meeting. No, because you know why? I find it hard to believe that he would even slack because like he learned how to change up his game. Like you don't work hard and change and transition into a better pocket passer without trying to improve your skill. He could have just kept throwing the ball for 2,300 yards like he's been doing since he got into the league and been running it for 1,000 because that's what he could do. But no, when you throw for 35 and then 4,000, like, all right, something is changing. Something happened with him, right? Like, which in a good way. Like he became more of a now he's running and you surround him around some better receivers and a better squad. Like, there's more to the story, and it's probably due to the unsuccessful, like the success that they haven't had and accomplished, which can change the demeanor. And he's also been, he's injured this season. It sucks, And I feel like for him, I feel like he's a quick scapegoat. Oh shit, man! Man, the Ravens suck, man. He's fucking falling asleep at camp, And now they're overshadowing how great that, Derrick Henry's been playing and they're forgetting about how bad the defense has been playing. And what about some of the decisions that John Harbaugh has been making throughout the season as well? So, okay, it's quick to just blame the quarterback because he's the most important position. And then as soon as you say, oh, he's playing video games so late. Bro, I play video games too, my nigga, and I'm fucking 38. And I can play till 3, 4 in the morning and I can wake up. Obviously, I'm not working like these guys that performing at high capacity. But still, I'll wake up, take my daughter to school, I'll do what I gotta do, and I
run
perform.
the 4-2.
I tell you, I'll fucking run. I run a 5-3. You know, I run a 5-3 or some shit. You know what I mean? But still, like, you know what I mean. All jokes aside, I just, I think there's a lot more to the story, and I think just one news article coming out and just saying, yeah, this is what's really happening. You know what I mean? Writers do what writers do, man. Like when you write a fiction, that's because somebody told you something true and you had to add some source to it, and then you made a good book that, you know what I mean, that wasn't true, but it stemmed from a real idea or from something that had to mean some type of truth. And I think it all revolves around frustration with what's going on with this team right now.
Good take, man. Real good take. Jay, holla at your boy, man.
I think two things could be true at the same time. There is a significant drop off, and some of it could very well be. I mean, I saw a video maybe about 3 or 4 months ago of Lamar the food truck. He looked high as fuck, and he was
Yeah,
somebody
I saw that. Yeah. He was eating like a hot dog or some shit, right? Like
some type of bullshit he was at.
Anything but a glizzy, Lamar. Jesus Christ.
So I mean, again, the guy still has to eat. So I think I don't want to castrate the guy because he fucking went to go get some chow. But the long and the short of what I'm trying to bring out to you is I don't know that. And I had him in fantasy football, so I'm a little bit pissed with him as it is. So he might get the wrath of what he the season he fucked up for me. But no, just all jokes aside, he had some injuries that slowed him down this year. And over his past few years, you're starting to see that the game is taking a little bit of a toll on him. Mm-hmm. But is he the same Lamar? No, he's not gonna be. He's
not the same Lamar. You don't think?
He's not.
He's lost a step.
He absolutely has.
Okay.
He's declining. He's declining. There's nothing wrong with that. Like Tom Brady declined, but he found other ways to get it done. Now this is
and he's fallen from such a high level that his decline is
the drop seems a lot greater than the average.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because we're so used to him being able to take off at the drop of a hat and do something, and we didn't see any of that this year. At no point did he take off. I think he had fucking 300 rushing yards this year, something like that. So. And again, so he was out a lot of games, but even if he had the same amount of games off last year, he'd probably be somewhere at the 700-800 mark at this point. It's such a stark difference to what we're used to seeing from him. He has to figure out ways where this area goes up if the body goes down. And I don't think that's happening with him right now. I don't think he's happy there. I'll be honest with you. I don't think that he's enjoying playing football. Joe Burrow made a really profound statement about the way he felt about the game and how his enjoyment was a big part of why he did this. And I think it's a possibility that Lamar's not really enjoying himself. There's the joy of the game. He doesn't look engaged. Like even like if you look at his body language and his facial expressions at breaks, like I'm going into commercial break, he doesn't look like the same guy. He doesn't look like just enthused. Some of it could be the offensive scheme. Some of it could be that the team is losing. A good portion of it could be that his body is breaking down on him and he's not in the best shape. So that also could correlate to not the inappropriate amount of rest or the lack of preparation during the offseason or what he's consuming. All those things could absolutely contribute to that. I think right now Lamar is in need of a restart, and that could come in the way of a possible move to another team, which I don't think is doable, or another face in the front of that coaching room, and that is probably more doable. I don't think you let go of Lamar. If you let go of Lamar Jackson, then you have to go into a complete rebuild. He is such a big, intricate part of what that
might
team
be
is.
what they're trying to do, right? They might be trying to.
They can't. They'd have to move away from Harbaugh. Harbaugh would be the one that they get rid of because another Lamar Jackson's not walking through that door.
Yeah, facts.
You can go to the draft right now, and the best you're gonna probably get is maybe Fernando Mendoza. That's not Lamar Jackson. And not that they have the first pick. I'm just saying, like, if
but they could go. You bring up that they could trade up to the Jets or whoever has to.
Even if you're not bringing in Fernando Mendoza to replace Lamar Jackson, like that they fucking burn Baltimore down. It'd be over. The best bet would be to get a different voice. At some point, the cognitive dissonance kicks in. You got two different programs banging against one another, and Lamar is going to win every trip because he's just worth more to that franchise than John Harbaugh.
You bring up a good point, Jay.
Yeah, that was a good. Yeah,
That's a great take too. But let me say this: you say that Baltimore would burn down M&T Stadium rather than let Lamar walk through those doors, and I get it. Baltimore is right next to Chocolate City. I've been in Baltimore. I got niggas in Baltimore. Cuban in Baltimore with me. Doing niggas know I know the area well, so I know what he means to that city above football. You feel what I'm saying? But Pat Riley in 1994, and I read a book maybe 2 years ago, Blood on the Garden Floor, and I already knew this, but I like I'm a big reader. Q know this. I kind of haven't read it in a while, but I have a lot of books under my belt. Pat Riley said one of the problems were him and Dave Checkers had, right, in that early 90s, Knicks Pat Riley shit, was he wanted to trade, and Jay, you probably remember this because we're around the same age. He wanted to trade Patrick Ewing. Give Anthony Mason like the point, kind of make Anthony Mason the man. And niggas was like, "What do you mean trade Patrick Ewing? Patrick Ewing's the friend. Patrick Ewing was in the league 10 years at the time. I think he came out in '84. He's the fucking man. And, there's a couple of centers in the league, David Robinson, Elijah Wan, him at the time, and Shaq was still kind of new. Excuse me. And niggas was like, "What do you mean you want to trade Patrick Ewing? Like he's the superstar." His theory was, and this is one of the reasons, other than Miami giving him ownership why he left, is he'd rather get something while he still can for him. Trade him a year earlier than a year late. You feel what I'm saying? If I'm the fucking, what Steve Bisciotti and them, maybe that's how I'm thinking as well. I want to play this clip, and I want to ask you what you think. It's Nick Wright on Lamar Jackson.
But Lamar Jackson can be a great player, can be a great person, while also having some immaturity to him. Oh, yeah. And the reason that I have hammered KW, the him getting sick every year thing is not because I'm trying to be funny. It is because I had and have reason to believe that he's not just super unlucky, that there are things adults know they need to do to give them the best chance to be as healthy as possible. And I think most of his colleagues, other star quarterbacks, do those things. And it doesn't seem like Lamar does. And that, whether that's diet, whether that's sleep habits, whether that's, how he spends his personal time, whatever it is, those are fair criticisms. And everything doesn't have to be binary. It doesn't have to be good guy, but
Jay, that's kind of speaking to what you said. Everything doesn't have to be binary. Two things can be fucking true, right? Maybe it's a little bit of the Ravens getting out in front of the negotiations, trying to bring the price down a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit of him not taking the best care of himself, you know what I'm saying, a la Tom Brady. Tom Brady's like the standard with the TB12 shit and the stretching and being pliable. And it proved to be right because he lasted a long time and he won MVP late in his career and he won Super Bowls late in his career. Maybe it could be a little bit of that. And maybe it could be everything. Two things could be true at the same time. Q, before we get off the subject, you got anything to say about that?
Nah, you know what when you said that, it kind of resonated with me because it brought me back to like when you talked about getting rid of John Harbaugh.
Yeah.
I thought of what the Giants did. We didn't get, and even though this is toward the end of Eli's tenure anyway, here they got rid of Tom Coughlin, which was the face of the New York Giants. He brought us those 2 rings, in that time period, and they got rid of him first. Like NFL, their methodology of how they move their key pieces is so different because it's built much differently. So I could definitely see that. Like Jay, that was a good point. Like I could definitely see them harnessing. Like, hey, get rid of him. Get rid of John Harbaugh. Because that's probably why there's even rumors out there of John Harbaugh going to the Giants. You know what I mean? Like maybe he's ready out. You know what I mean? He's a great coach. And I think he has the leadership and everything. But you can't lose that type of star talent, especially when your team performs that well. so consistently, and then to start a rebuild right now, basically in the prime of your running back, and you're losing your star quarterback. It just seems like you're moving backwards at that point. It's like, okay, so we're losing all the talent at the most important spot, and now all right, we're gonna flip a coin and just see. Hopefully, this year or next year's draft, we happen to pick one out of the rough again. You know what I mean? And that's just at that point, you just gambling with your eyes closed.
Yeah, because it can't be, like John Harbaugh, and this is in his defense. He didn't forget how to coach, but a voice can get stale after some point. It can absolutely get stale.
You can lose the locker room, yeah.
And you can lose it faster when you're not winning. And Lamar not being healthy, not necessarily hitting the cover off the ball this year, accelerates that, because now the voice gets even worse. Because you don't want to hear why we're losing. You want to hear how do we go about winning. And unfortunately, the most dominant player on your team, who's ball dominant, he has the ability to touch the football every single play on offense, and he's not able to do the things that he was able to do last year. And unfortunately, you gotta look at somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And last point in this is winning covers up the stink. Winning covers up the fucking stink. It's the great cologne, right? And they're vying for the division next week, right? They're not the Baltimore Ravens of the years past.
Yeah.
They kind of hit a bump. They're going against the Steelers next week. Maybe they beat the Steelers and they get in the playoffs, and maybe everyone starts to be a little bit more happy. But overall, it's been a mediocre year.
Only if they have success in the playoffs. They can't go and be a one and done, because then it's the same thing. It's just a repeat, a rinse and repeat of last year.
It's a rinse and repeat.
The year before. I don't know that they, they're not making it to the second round. They're not becoming, they're not competing for the most coveted trophy.
Yeah. Right. And I gotta agree with you, Jay. And this is the last thing I'm gonna say. I gotta agree with you. If it's between Harbaugh and you too, Q, if it's between Harbaugh and Lamar, you can't let Lamar walk out them doors. Man. You know what I'm saying? You can't let Lamar walk out the door. Unless you just get an offer you can't refuse. You know what I mean? Like, he's going, you could theoretically get 4 number ones for Lamar. You could.
You're still, at that point, you're resetting your franchise three years back, though.
You are. You're blowing it up at that point.
You're blowing it up. You're resetting the franchise 3 years. You're not going to be relevant again until 2030.
Right. Yeah. 2-time MVP, 1 unanimous, first team All Pro, 3 years, Pro Bowl, 4 or 5 years, Offensive Player of the Year, 3 years. I mean, the accolades is just fucking insane, man. Like, it's fucking nuts,
you get a new voice in there.
All-time QB rushing leader. I mean, what are we talking about here? Like, you know what I mean? We had to bring it up, but
and you communicate with Lamar heavily about where you want to go with that new voice to make sure that they match, and that will inspire and spark, hopefully, Lamar to start to operate differently if there is a real concern about how he spends his free time, what he's consuming, how he's handling his health, the different things that absolutely you can judge him on when it comes to playing the position of quarterback. Hopefully those things rectify themselves based on a new voice and someone that's going to give him some guidance, or someone that he has more confidence in at this point.
Let him get healthy. Lamar, if you're listening, I'm not saying you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, but get healthy.
With more.
Like, you're getting older. Start treating your body right, pause, you know what I'm saying? And get back to who you are. Listen, I'm going to say this like this. Anyone who thinks Lamar ain't that guy, 2024, last year, or the year before last, kind of led the league, 41 TDs, 119 passer rating, and became the first QB with 4,000 plus passing yards and 800 rushing yards. Enough said. Game over. Elite.
Should have had the MVP.
Should have had the motherfucker. They gave it to Josh Allen just because they didn't want to. They did some fucking Joker shit in the NBA. They didn't want to give it to Giannis shit. They didn't want to give it to them a 3rd year in a row, which is bullshit. So they gave it to Embiid that year. You know what I mean? So shout out to Lamar Jackson, man.
Yeah, we need to talk about that one day, man. Like, I think we need to talk about, like,